Hey, welcome back to another episode of Unbottled Potential. Today, this is a bonus episode I am bringing to you on how to survive the holidays sober. We are in the first weekend of the second weekend, I guess, of the holiday season, 2022. And I am getting tons of questions of how to navigate the holiday season alcohol free. And I want to teach you how not only to survive this holiday season, but maybe even to thrive during the holidays without alcohol. Now, this doesn't matter if you are experiencing your first alcohol-free holiday, your second, or your however many. I know that the holidays can be a particularly stressful time. And when we have stress, what we tend to do is turn to irrational tools that we did not mean to implement. So I want to give you 4 really tangible things that can help you survive and even thrive during this holiday season without alcohol. So my first tip is kind of no nonsense. It's just that you have to make being sober, being alcohol-free, non-negotiable. You need to stop, pause right now and say to yourself, I am making a commitment to be alcohol-free through this holiday season. And I want you to get clear as to why, because you want to be present for yourself, for your friends, and for your family, because you know that alcohol makes chaos and stress and anxiety amplify the next day, because you know that alcohol actually doesn't help you become a better version of you, no matter how socially anxious you may feel in different situations, because maybe you have had embarrassing situations in the past. Whatever it is, I want you to check in with yourself right now and make it a non-negotiable. So often we go into these commitments to ourselves, especially with things that are hard, like alcohol or food, or things that we maybe are little naughty habits that we have. With this, I'm going to try to be better, or I'm going to try to moderate, or I'm going to try this. And when you say I'm going to try, that is a half-hearted effort, and half-hearted efforts only get half-hearted results. So I want you right now, if this is important to you in this moment, I want you to hype yourself up and say, this holiday season, being alcohol-free is non-negotiable. And not only that, I know that I have what it takes. I want to assure you that you are more resilient, more capable than you give yourself credit for. And I've said it before, and I will say it again. Confidence comes from commitments that you make and keep to yourself. And if you have made the commitment to be alcohol-free, your confidence is going to be at an all-time high, no matter what happens. If you proceed through this holiday season without taking a drink of alcohol, if you decide not to give into that craving, not to give into that urge, to check out, to numb out, to celebrate, to relax, whatever that urge is telling you, you are going to come out on the other side of this holiday season feeling so immeasurably powerful that I can't even explain the result to you. And that is what I want for you. I want you to feel powerful. No one in the history of my coaching business has ever regretted not drinking. I don't care if it's at a holiday event or just a regular day. No one I have ever worked with or talked to or befriended has ever regretted not drinking. And I want that feeling for you. I want you to not only not regret it, I want you to thrive and feel so confident. And in order to do that, you have to make a non-negotiable commitment to yourself. Now, even though you make this non-negotiable commitment, there will be plenty of offers and opportunities for you to waver. People are going to be shoving drinks at you left and right. You are going to be in chaotic situations where it seems like the best opportunity or the best option to feel better, to feel different, to feel whatever is to drink. And so I want to offer you 3 additional tools to come back as a fail-safe for when those non-negotiable moments start to seem a little shaky. And first, I want you to know that when those moments come up where you're trying to negotiate with yourself, you are never negotiating between your rational mind, between your higher self. You are always negotiating with your ego. And the ego is the voice of fear, the voice of lack, and the voice of pessimism, the voice of woe is me, the voice of destruction in your mind. Okay. As nice and as rational as that ego may sound, it never has your best interest at heart. Okay. And so when you have that voice of negotiation try to come in, here are 3 other things that you can do. First of all, in order to keep your sanity, I want to give you a permission slip this holiday season to prioritize your energetic spend. This is a big thing that's been coming up with my private coaching clients and the women who are in my high level mastermind, is that it's okay to say no. You do not have to accept every invitation, every opportunity, every whatever this holiday season, just because it's the festive time of year and everyone's supposed to be holly jolly and have a great time and be charitable and loving and whatever. You do not have to go to every party. You don't have to participate in every secret Santa. You don't have to go to every dinner or whatever it is that you've been invited to, because You don't, because you don't. You get to say no, okay? And I want you to sit right now and I want you to get out your calendar. I want you to look at all of the events that you have been invited to, knowing that you're going to get invited to more, knowing that little happy hours and get-togethers and gift exchanges and whatever are going to pop up. And I want you to get real with yourself. I know that all of you might not be really practiced quite yet in attuning to your own desires because you've spent so long zoning out and numbing those desires. So I want you to spend a moment and I want you to tune in and I want you to look at the list of events that you have, the list of obligations that you have for this holiday season. And I want you to get clear on something. You do not have to participate. You are allowed to opt out, particularly if this is one of your first or your very first holiday season alcohol free. I want you to acknowledge that you are recalibrating right now. And so if you need to say no to more things this year than normal, that's okay, because the biggest, most important thing is the commitment you have made to yourself to be alcohol free. And if overextending yourself or going to be around a particular group of people or putting yourself in a particular scenario is going to really, really challenge that commitment you've made to yourself, for me, it's a no. Right now, the most important thing is your confidence. And if you don't feel emotionally resourced and strong enough to go to some of these events without drinking, then it's a no for me. Okay. And that doesn't mean that it's a no always, because guess what? My goal here is not to get you to dip out of society or to become a recluse. It is to get you the resources that you need to actively, happily, joyfully, without being triggered, participate in active society. But if you don't quite yet have those, probably, in my opinion, the best option is to protect your sanity, protect your commitments to yourself, and opt out. And that's okay, because there is nothing that is mandatory this holiday season. If the last 3 years taught us anything, it is that nothing is mandatory and that we can create an experience that feels good to us, feels healthy, and feels vibrant and feels expansive. And so here are some events that I want you to reconsider. First of all, events that will inevitably trigger you. Maybe events that are completely driven by alcohol, events that you're going to be around family members, friends, people from your past that really you feel anxious about being around. If you know that the event itself and the circumstances are going to trigger you, if the event and the people seem stressful, it's okay just to say, no, I can't make it. All right. I also want you to look at your list of things that you committed to and look at the events that are going to overextend you. You cannot run around like a chicken with your head cut off for the entire month of December and not expect to be exhausted. And when we get exhausted, we start to give in. We start to renegotiate commitments that we've made to ourselves. We start to just kind of paste our lives together. And I want you to practice not being overextended this holiday season. So if you see some events that seem particularly exhausting, or if you have a day where, for me, I'm pretty much a one event a day or one social activity a day, maybe two, depending upon the length and the exertion. So I want you to get clear on, what do you have the emotional capacity to handle every day or every weekend? Do you need a full day to zone out and recharge on the couch? Great. Schedule that. Make it a non-negotiable, because your sanity, your well-being is also a non-negotiable. So look at the event or the schedule of your events and ask, where do I feel that I might be overextended? Now, I also want you to look at the different events that are on your list and look at anything that might feel particularly daunting. And maybe it's because, again, they feel, maybe they don't quite feel triggering, but they just feel daunting. Like, I feel heavy and I don't really want to go to that. And I want you to know that, again, your presence is not mandatory. This is not a time. Everyone will make it seem like you're a Scrooge or you're a huge party pooper if you don't go to some of these events. And yet your presence is not mandatory. If you were to say, and first of all, I don't play with lying. I play with setting clear boundaries. But if it were to happen that someone in your household came down with the flu or COVID or whatever, and you had to miss out, people would not judge you. And so therefore, you get to miss out on things if you choose to, okay? Not just because there's an extenuating circumstance. Your sanity is also an extenuating circumstance, okay? I want to drill that into your head and say that again, this isn't forever though. This isn't I want you to grow the muscle of socializing to where you can withstand more. But I also just want to, in this season where particularly women are expected to do do a whole bunch of shopping, do a whole bunch of cooking. I won't say all, I almost said all. But and most of my listeners here are going to be women, but men, this goes for you too. In a season where we are expected to show up and show out, you have to get really good at preserving and conserving your energy. Okay. So in order to do that, you have to establish what is my energy threshold and where do I need to cut and rearrange? Where do I need to say no? And so full permission to say no, to opt out. Okay. This is such an important thing that I need you to get, especially during the holidays. It's okay to not go to the party, to not do the secret Santa, to not provide a fresh baked good, whatever it is, it's okay. The other option is it's always okay to go and leave. You don't have to stay the whole time. You get to create your own rules. I've had several events within the past couple of weeks. They're not particularly holiday related, but they were big, long, either day long or weekend long events. And I said, you know what? I'm a big girl. Just because I paid for this event or just because I was invited to this event as a guest doesn't mean I have to go from start to finish. I can go for the chunk that feels good for me. I can go for the time frame that feels good for my energetic spend, and then I can leave. And that felt really empowering that I didn't choose to overextend myself just because someone had invited me or I'd paid for something. Okay. So you get to set boundaries and you get to analyze and choose how you spend your energy. Now, after you have decided, okay, where am I going to go? What am I going to do? Where am I showing up? The next thing I need you to do is actually prepare. I don't want you willy-nilly going to events without preparation. This is where a lot of people tend to fail because we're going so fast. That's why I want you to cut down on the things you've said you would attend. And then that will give you a little more time and energy and mental cognizance in order to prepare for the event. Now, the first way in which I would ask you to prepare is to actually tell people that you're not drinking. Tell people who are important to you, either your person who you're going to the event with, maybe that's your partner, maybe it's a family member. I would rather you have prepared people with the fact that you are not drinking than to try and go in blind. And so often I do this with all of my clients during these holiday seasons and before big events like birthday parties or family reunions or bachelorette parties, weddings, whatever, is we forget, we don't want to make a big deal. We don't want to, ruffle any feathers. So we just decide we're going to go in silent. And then that creates an extra stress for us because inevitably what happens is we feel like we need to talk about the fact that we're not drinking at the event and we haven't prepared. It would make it so much easier on us if we messaged the host or hostess, messaged our family member, messaged whomever and said, hey, or if it's a work function, messaging a buddy and saying, hey, I'm actually not drinking this month. Here's something you could say, literally, I'm not drinking this month and I'm really nervous about XYZ party. I just wanted to let you know in advance, I don't need you to hold my hand, but I would really love your support and encouragement. Can I count on you? Okay. So you are giving them a clear, I'm not drinking this month. I'm really being real with them. I'm nervous about this event. I want you to know because I know you love, support, and trust me. Can I count on your encouragement? And any person who loves and respects you and wants the best for you is going to say, oh my gosh, that's amazing. Absolutely. And if the person you message doesn't say that, well, then I would reconsider having them in your life right now because they are not emotionally mature enough and prepared to support you. Anyone who hears that you are taking a break from alcohol and tries to talk you into it, they don't have your best interest at heart, my friend. They have their best interest at heart. And this is a time to maybe pause and take a step back from those relationships. Now, I have very rarely, and I'm racking my brain right now to think if I can even think of a great instance where that has happened. But typically the people who my clients choose to reach out to say, oh my God, absolutely. I would love to support you. That is so badass. Let me know what I can do. And I've had clients who, I have a client from earlier this year who she told her mom, and her mom would reach out to kind of the persnickety uncle or the person who, might kind of be a little, thorn in the side of this plan and said, Uncle Jim, so-and-so is not drinking and we really are excited or we really are respecting that. So please keep your mouth shut about it, So we've had family members or even the same client, her coworkers would at a happy hour go up and order her mocktails and make sure that she always had a mocktail. So if you can have an advocate and a support team around you, this is going to make it all the more easy. And this can just be a quick scripted text message that you send out to people. And it doesn't, I mean, don't mass send it necessarily. Just send it to a couple of people at the event or whatever that you need support from, but make it really clear that this is a non-negotiable for you and you want them to know about it and you expect their support. Okay. The next thing is, I have a whole episode about this earlier in the podcast. If you go back to the first like 10 or 15 episodes, is talking about being alcohol free and having a script. So I recommend that you go back to that episode and create a really teeny tiny, short, cut and dry script about why you're not drinking. But also know that you will rarely have to use that script. The holidays are so rowdy. Most people aren't going to even know or acknowledge that you're not drinking. And most people aren't going to ask. My biggest tip when talking about how or when teaching about how to talk about your sobriety is that most people aren't asking because most people don't care. Usually the place where people get tripped up is when someone says, "Hey, can I get you something to drink?" Or "Do you want something to drink?" And instead of saying, "Yes, I'd like a sparkling water," "No, I'm good," or "Hey, do you have any non-alcoholic beverages?" They say, "Well, I'm not drinking right now." And they go into this whole like nervous diatribe, and it's not necessary. So I want you to go back to that episode and have a really quick, short and simple script that you can use if and when you do need to explain yourself a little further. Okay. The next thing to do to prepare is BYOB. Bring your own non-alcoholic beverage. I will tag a few that I like down in the show notes, but I will tell you some that I really appreciate in different genres. I think that one that's really easy to get your hands on is Athletic Brewing. They make a ton of amazing, really delicious, hardly can tell the difference beer flavors. And you can usually get those at almost any liquor store nearby. If you are a wine person, I would highly recommend that you order your non-alcoholic wine. I would recommend that you order from a company called Shirley. They have, in my opinion, the best de-alcoholized wine on the market. Just a real quick background on wine is that you get what you pay for with any of these, but if you pay for a cheap de-alcoholized wine, you're going to get a cheap wine that was once alcoholic and now has the alcohol removed. So you're probably still going to get some of it's just not going to be a great experience. So I would recommend if you were a wine person to go ahead and order right now from Shirley. And that's like Surely, like Shirley. This is real wine, and order your wine from them now. They have amazing red, white, sparkling options. Have a couple of bottles, or they also have single serve cans available. Get some of those for yourself. Or if you are a cocktail person, I really love Liars. They actually sent me several different non-alcoholic spirits or alcohol-free spirits to make some concoctions that I will be mixing up and sharing soon. So those are some that you probably aren't going to be able to find at every liquor store nearby. So I would recommend right now, pause this episode and go place an order for one of those. I will again put links down in the show notes. I don't think I have partnerships with any of those. So this is completely free of advertising. I'm not getting paid for any of these recommendations. They are just my favorites that I have found. And there's also some really great ready to drink options. I think that Dessois, Katy Perry and Morgan McLaughlin's brand is probably one of my favorites right now. And I've tried all of them, and will be very brutally honest that I have a very particular palate. And so I only share what I like. I will share if I receive things, but I will only tell you what it tastes like if I actually like it. And I really like the flavors from Dessois. I think they're really nice. So bring your own beverage. It is always okay to do that, or you can always ask in advance if you're going to a venue, if it's okay to bring. A lot of places will let you bring your own wine and they'll just charge you a corkage fee. But most of the time, like I was in a wedding last year and I called the venue and I said, "Hey, it doesn't look like you have non-alcoholic options. I'm going to bring my own. Is that okay? And will you just keep it behind the bar for me?" And it was absolutely fine. And anyone who's ever had a problem with it, just never gone there again. So go ahead and be okay with bringing your own beverage. Make sure that you are set and ready to go. So prepare. I also really recommend when you are preparing that you take some time to center yourself before an event. I know that the holiday season is hectic and you're probably trying to get a little more glammed up than normal. And so maybe you are rushing out the door. Please, please, please plan ahead and set aside just 5 minutes to go sit in the bathroom, sit in the closet, sit in your car, and just take in a deep breath. Visualize the event going well, ask for help from the universe, from angels, from guides, whomever you commune with in the spiritual ether, and just know that you are being supported. But asking for that help, preparing yourself, taking a few deep breaths, and really visualizing the event going well is going to set you up for success in major, major ways. Okay. So step 1 is make it a non-negotiable. Step 2 is prioritizing your energetic spend. Step 3, preparing. And step 4 is knowing your triggers and having tools to help through those triggers. Now, triggers, I'm just going to do a base level explanation here because there can be so many things, but typically what a trigger is an emotional state that we're unready to hold space for. But typically those triggers present themselves as people or situations or scenarios. So some things that might be triggers in the holiday season are, social scenarios, big bustling social events, and that triggers social anxiety. Family members, lovers, loved ones, being around nostalgic scenes and scenarios, or even traveling to places where it's a special experience. I talked about this in our last episode as well. So maybe some of you go to an exotic location for the holidays, instead of staying put where you're at. And sometimes that nostalgia or that sense of a special experience will trigger this, or even like a sense of, oh, I survived all of this, so now I should treat myself. So there's always these little life triggers, but typically under those are emotions that we are unprepared to feel. Now, this is a much bigger topic that I'll do a deep dive on, but just noticing even on the base level, the types of people and scenarios or the types of emotions that start to come up that make you want to check out, numb out, get out of your body, get out of your head, it's important to notice those. Okay. And when you see one of those come up, it is important to have some tools available. Now, again, this is a very large topic. This is the bulk of what my coaching practice is helping my clients understand their unique, nuanced, intricate triggers and giving them unique and practical and approachable ways to work through them. So one of the best ways that I can teach you, though, is a really, really easy technique, especially if you're experiencing anxiety, called bilateral stimulation. I'm going to describe it in detail to you. It's really quick. It's a technique I learned from a hypnotist. And I want you to, I was taught this with a water bottle, but you can do it with anything, an ink pen, let's say. And if you are feeling anxiety in your mind, if you're feeling frustrated or stressed, I would like for you to name the anxiety, label it, or rate it. Let's say that instead, rate it from 0 to 10. So I'm feeling 7 out of 10 anxious right now. When you take a big breath in through your nose, out through your mouth. And then I want you to imagine a line going down the center of your body. So from your forehead, down your nose, your chest, your belly button. And I want you to hold this object that you have in your right hand. And I want you to imagine it passing over that line through the center of your body into your next hand. And then I want you to pass it back. Every time passing over that center line of your body, I want you to make sure that you cross that center line. All right. And you can do this for just a minute. And it might seem really silly, might seem really strange that I'm asking you to do this. You can actually do this in a board meeting under the table with an ink pen, as long as you're making sure to cross that bisecting plane of your body, crossing the center line of your body. You could even just do it by hitting your hands back and forth. Okay. And this works because when we are in an anxious state, one side of our brain goes into hyperactivity. And the fastest way to get our one side of brain out of hyperactivity is to make both sides of our brain work. And so by doing gestures that cross your body, okay, you are going to eliminate your body's ability to freak out in that same way. So that is the fastest snap out of it that you can do anywhere, anytime. It requires you could do it in front of people and they probably wouldn't even notice. Okay. So just taking some deep breaths and doing this bilateral stimulation activity is going to be very, very helpful. I have tons more tools to help you through these types of moments, tons more tools to help you prepare, many, many more ways we can analyze and adapt to triggers that are much more long-term successful than having a drink. Because again, we know that drinking does not solve our problems. It just amplifies them and actually causes them to come back stronger the next day. And so if you want a tool that actually helps you through your problems, you probably, number one, need some help establishing what those problems are, what those triggers are, and then getting some practical tools to help you through them. And again, I mentioned this is specifically what I do a lot of work on in my coaching practice. And if that is something you're interested in, absolutely DM me. But I have a really cool opportunity I would love to share with you. Through the month of December and January, I've decided to offer one-off one-on-one deep dive immersive sessions with me. They're 75 minutes. I've never done this before. I'm almost always required my clients and students to buy a package where we can get several weeks of work together. But this holiday season, I've decided, you know what? I have a special gift in helping women and men through these situations, individuals who are drinking in the gray area. And I want to help as many people as possible with my own time and energetic spend. So I've opened up my calendar to 75-minute immersion immersion sessions where you and I can have some one-on-one time. We can talk a little bit about what you think your triggers are. I can help you find the deeper trigger and give you some really easy, practical, free tools to help you through those. So if you would like to book a 75-minute session with me, I will put a link down in the show notes, or you can always DM me over on Instagram. Just DM me the word immersion, and we can find a time to set you up for one of these 75-minute calls. And the best part is that I am actually doing throwback pricing for these 75-minute calls. So I'm charging a lot less than I normally do in current day. So if you would like to snag one of those sessions, again, places are limited. I'd love to talk with you and support you through this holiday season and through the new year. So yeah, I really am rooting for you to get through this holiday season, because I know that anytime you do something that's difficult, that you build a more magnificent resilience than you ever could before. You can get through lots of little bitty things, but the second you get through something really big and tremendous and almost intimidating without alcohol, are those moments. Those are the moments where you really, really grow your confidence and you can really, really have some pride in yourself. Now, if you have some moments that are not your proudest moments, go back to episode 23, where I talk about how to come back after a slip up. But I am really rooting for you to have a successful, sober holiday where you are feeling resilient, where you are feeling powerful, where you are feeling present. And I want that for you this year and beyond. So I hope that these tips have helped you. If I can help support you in any other way, please do reach out to me. On Instagram, I am at Amanda Kuda. That is the fastest way to get a hold of me. And I will drop some amazing tools for you down in the show notes. And I'm just so grateful for you all being here. And I hope that this bonus episode served you. And I will catch you back here on Tuesday at a regular time. Take care.